Welcome back to our Y.E.S Longevity Podcast, where we help you get fit, feel younger, and live better. We're having some technical difficulties, so we're just going to check to make sure that this is working right now. I'm not sure if it is. Michelle, you getting anything in there? We've already been cut off a few times, so I don't know if it's working or not today. So, I'm assuming we're working. We got the word, we got the thumbs up, we're working, so here we go. Have you ever woke up in the morning? You have a little stiff back. You get up out of the chair and you're stiff. You work out in your garden and you're stiff. Walk around, get out of the car, you're a little bit stiff. Maybe your back hurts you a little bit. Well, today I'm going to give you 10 exercises / stretches that you can do to help prevent that stiffness and low back pain. Obviously, if you have back pain, you need to see a physician, get to a chiropractor or physical therapist, someone who is trained in eliminating pain. But this is some stuff that you can do to help prevent that low back pain. I'm going to give you some exercises and things you can do at home. You don't need any equipment, and you should be able to do them easily without any pain. If you do have pain, you want to see some type of healthcare provider. So before we start off, I'd like to talk about what you should not do. These are things you don't want to do, and things that will either increase your back pain or eventually will cause some back pain. So one thing we want to think about is in the morning. I hear a lot of people say the first thing I do up in the morning is I stretch my back, I do my back exercises. Well, that is one of the #1 things you're doing wrong right there. What you don't realize is that when you're sleeping in that horizontal position, the vertebrae, that would be the cushion, your discs between your vertebrae fill up with fluids during the evening. So instead of being a little bit loose in there, it tightens up because the disc gets larger. And we need to get those fluids out of your spine. So you want to get vertical for half an hour or so, maybe even more, to get those fluids out of the spine and out of those discs. Because if it's tight and you start to move and twist and push and squeeze, you're going to cause more damage than good. So I'm going to tell you right now, you should not be doing those things when you first get up in the morning. You want to wait at least a half an hour before you do that. The second thing we don't want to do is, we already know, we're going to just say it again, is that you do not want to do sit-ups. You don't want to do curl-ups in any way, shape, or form or fashion. Dr. Stuart McGill has shown and proven that multiple repetitions of spinal flexion, that's rounding you back forward, like when you do a sit-up, is going to cause back pain over time. And it actually really doesn't strengthen the core the way the core should be strengthened. And it's a strong core that helps keep and prevent low back pain, keep back pain away. So we don't want to be doing any sit-ups. We don't want to do any curl-ups. The other thing you want to do is we don't want to do any twisting motions. So we're not going to do anything like this. None of this stuff. None of this stuff. No scorpions like this, way in the back, or there. You see, the lumbar spine, that lower portion of the spine, is not designed to twist, so we don't want to force it to twist. There's 5 vertebrae there. Those 5 vertebrae are designed to twist a total of 13 degrees. So that's about 2 degrees per vertebrae. That's a little tiny bit. The lumbar spine is designed to be stable and firm, not twist. It's the thoracic spine, the spine above that, those 7 vertebrae above that are designed to twist. So you don't want to do any twisting motion. You might say, oh, that feels good. You're not doing good. You're causing more pain and discomfort down the road than good that you really do. So you're not going to see any twisting motions here. You're also not going to see any kind of pulling our knees in or doing a child's pose. Sure, it makes you feel good for a few minutes, but it really doesn't do anything to help prevent low back pain. Actually, it's stretching the glutes. We sit on our butts way too much all day long. The last thing we need to do is stretch our glutes. So I'm going to tell you, you really shouldn't be doing that. It's not going to help prevent low back pain. I know, it's hard for you to hear that. I know a lot of people say, oh, I do that, it feels so good, but it only feels good for the moment. It's not really helping anything down the road. So let's get into some of the things that we should be doing to help prevent low back pain. One of the first things we want to think about is that we're going to try to develop some strength, not just in the core, but our back and all the way down into our backside and our hamstrings, the back of our legs. That whole, all this musculature needs to be strong to help prevent low back pain. So the first exercise we're going to do is what we call a double leg hip bridge. Now I'm going to demonstrate how we do it down here at Y.E.S Fitness, and I'm going to give you some ideas to be able to do it like us down here at Y.E.S Fitness, because it is really the best way to do it. We're going to use the ultimate sandbag. And you're going to say, well, you know what, I don't have an ultimate sandbag. Well, maybe you're going to be able to use a strap, a pole, anything where we can create some kind of tension. Because what the ultimate sandbag eventually does is it helps develop and engage our back muscles. The muscles that crisscross from our shoulders all the way down into the backside of our legs. And obviously those are our back muscles we want to be able to strengthen. I will also show you how to do it if you don't have something to pull on or tug on. But let's first do it with a double leg hip bridge with the ultimate sandbag. So we're going to take the sandbag, we're going to pull it apart right over our belly button, not up over the shoulders. We pull it apart over our belly button, we can get those shoulder blades down and tight and engaged. From here, we're going to think about driving our heels into the ground as we bring our hips towards the ceiling. So we're just going to exhale, bring it up, pause, you come back down nice and easy. Again, exhale, drive the heels into the ground, pause, and come back down nice and easy. So if you don't have a sandbag, you can use a strap or something else. Well, let's say, you know what, you're in a hotel room and you just don't have anything to use, which you probably could even use a towel. We're going to use our hands to create that tension across the back. So you're going to lie down on your back, grip the ground with your hands now tight, and you can feel as you grip and push into the ground, all the muscles from my neck down to my backside turn on and get engaged. So I'm going to grip that ground, drive through the heels, exhale, come up, squeeze, and come back down nice and easy. Drive my hands into the ground, drive up through the heels, press your hips towards the ceiling, and come down nice and easy. So that is a double leg hip bridge. You want to start off with 10 repetitions, work your way up to 3 sets of 10. No resistance. These exercises should not be overwhelming. They should be not really, really difficult to do, okay? So it's a double leg hip bridge. The second exercise is the old pelvic tilt. I've heard that for a long time now, pelvic tilt. And the reason why the pelvic tilt is good is it's going to create some motion in the hips, and it's going to teach us how to just loosen that up some and engage those muscles some. So we're going to lie down on our back, and you're going to think about taking your hips and exhaling and pressing them right down into the ground. It's going to tighten your abs a little bit, and then relax and arch it back up. So we're going to press down. You can feel your hand go down and then arch the back up a little bit. So we're just getting a little bit of pelvic motion back and forth. You want to try to do that 10 times and work your way up to 2-3 sets of 10 of a pelvic tilt. So our next exercise is actually a strengthening exercise, a side plank. The side plank can be done in many ways. I'm going to show you a modification way, a little lower level intensity, and then we're going to raise the intensity up a little bit, okay? So you're going to get on your knees are at 90 degrees, they're bent, elbow right underneath your shoulder, okay? So we don't want that elbow way out there. We want that elbow right underneath your shoulder. So I actually have a bend here in my hips, almost like I'm squatting a little bit. And I'm going to exhale, bring it up, and I'm going to try to make sure that my elbow's right under my shoulder, my head stays in a nice neutral alignment. My hips are stacked and push forward, so my backside's tight a little bit. I'm going to stay here. We hope to up to 30 seconds. You might want to start off with just 10 seconds and do it 15 seconds and work your way up to 30 seconds. That's a modified side plank. You want to do that both sides. Another way to modify a side plank is if you were to just put your hand on the back of the couch or on a table, something like that. So I'll show you a full side plank and then a modified side plank. in a full plank position. So here we are. We're going to have our top foot staggered forward. We're going to come up. Again, we're going to try to have our shoulder right above that elbow, keeping our head in nice alignment. You can't see because I got baggy shorts on, but everything is nice and straight down through the line. I'm not sagging down here, and we're going to try to hold that again for up to 30 seconds. You can start off with 10 seconds, do that for a few sets, and then work your way up to 15 seconds and so forth until you get up to 30 seconds on each side. So if you were going to modify it by putting your hand on a couch, obviously I don't have a couch here in the coaching center, you could get into a side plank and imagine that my hand, okay, was on the edge of a chair or on a couch. What that's going to do is that's going to incline me some and make the plank a little bit easier. So unless you have real shoulder pain, there should be no reason why we can't be doing some side planks. You can modify it down to your level of fitness. Start off with a low repetition range, low to counts, or I should say how long you do the exercise for, and work your way up to 3 sets, 30 seconds each side. We don't want to be doing this all day long. You obviously can work up to a minute, but let's try to get to 3 sets of 30 seconds first. From there, we've got a bird dog. So it's a quadruped horizontal is actually what we call it, better known as a bird dog out in the general public. So this is going to strengthen those muscles across the back in a diagonal pattern. So you get up onto all four. Toes are dug into the ground to create some tension. I'm going to talk to you, but in general, we want to make sure that your head is down in a nice neutral position. You'll extend out with your left leg and your right arm, thumb to the ceiling, nice and long. You'll hold that and come back to the beginning position. So you'll exhale, long, and come back to the beginning position. You do 10 on one side, 10 on the other, and you can work your way up to 3 sets. We got 10 things to do here. If we do 3 sets of everything, we're going to be at this for half an hour. So it's not necessarily saying that you need to get to 3 sets, but you got to at least do a set of each one of these things as we go through this to make sure that we're getting and addressing the low back in all different ways. So from the bird dog, we're going to go to what we call a tabletop leg press. And what the tabletop leg press is, you'll start to develop some strength in the anterior chain, the front of your stomach, but it also gives you a feeling of what an engaged core feels like, how to tighten your core. So you'll lie down onto your back. We're going to bring our legs to what we call tabletop, 90 degrees. 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees here, feet flexed. Then we're going to take our hands, relax your head down. You'll deep breath, exhale, and push your hands into your knees. Hold for 3 seconds, then relax. Again, push. So I'm really trying to push my hands into my knees into my hands. I can feel my stomach tightening up in a nice symmetric contraction. That tighten up nice and easy, and that's the feeling we want to get as we're strengthening our core. 3 seconds, 10 times. Work yourself up to 3 sets if you'd like. Our next exercise is something that we call a dead bug. Again, we love to use a sandbag when we do a dead bug. If you can't use a sandbag, you can use another device. That's a towel, a strap, something like that. I'm going to demonstrate it with a sandbag, and I will demonstrate it as if we have no toy to play with as we do it, no apparatus to do it. So here's our ultimate sandbag. Again, we're going to take that bag, and it's going to be over the belly button, not over the shoulders. And as we pull that bag apart, it's going to engage or tighten up all my back muscles, all the way down to my backside. We're going to come up to that tabletop position. As I extend the right leg out, I'm going to turn the bag slightly towards that right leg, then come back up, and then with the left leg, and come back up. One more time. Right leg goes out. We turn the bag slightly to the right, and then slightly to the left. Now, with pulling that bag apart real tight and exhaling hard as we extend the leg, we're going to engage the core. It's not going to allow the back to curl up, and we don't want it to be pressing down. We want what we try to call a neutral position, nice and stiff. If you don't have a bag, you don't have a strap, you don't have a towel, you don't have anything you can use, To get that tension pulled across, we're just going to come from this position here, and as we extend the right leg out, that left arm's going to come down and back up, and then reverse it to the other side. And back up. So that exercise can be performed anywhere at any time. 10 repetitions, 10 on each side, 3 sets of 10. From there, we're going to do a stretch. The 7th exercise is just a simple supine hamstring stretch. Now, why we do the supine is I like to do it lying on our back so that we can keep our back in a neutral position. We don't like to do any kind of seated thing because most people will round their back. This rounded back is not good for your lumbar spine. Even if it is not under load, we're not stretching the hamstrings. So we're going to lie down, take a strap, a belt, a towel, anything, wrap it around the foot. I'm going to this way here. Another hair. So we're going to pull that in nice and easy. The knee is not locked tight, but it is straight. And one of the keys is we're going to make sure that our bottom leg, this toe doesn't turn out. We want that toe flexed and pointed right to the ceiling. We're going to pull it in nice and easy. Exhale. 5 deep breaths. Every time we exhale, we're able to get that go a little bit further. You can loosen up the intensity a little bit and come up in here. That'll allow the hips to rotate up a little bit, make the stretch a little bit easier. But we're not looking to make the stretch easier. We're looking to just stretch the hamstring group. So nice and easy, nice straight leg. If you bend the knee, you won't feel as much discomfort behind the kneecap. You'll get more into the belly of the hamstring. You can do both. You want to hold the stretch for 5 breaths. And a breath takes about 5 seconds to do. Nice inhale, exhale for about 5 seconds. Each leg, a couple times, and you'll be all set with that. Then we've got another area that we'd like to stretch. It's a glute stretch, but we're not really stretching the glutes. We're trying to stretch the piriformis muscle that comes out right down the side of the body, outside the hip. And when that muscle gets tight, it'll tighten up down on the sciatic nerve, causing back, hip, maybe some pain, discomfort down the leg. So we want to try to stretch the glutes a little bit as well. The hips are very important to help prevent low back pain. So when we take a look at our body, I'm going to diverse here a little bit. When we take a look at the body, how the body is stacked. The ankle joint is a very mobile joint, so we want that joint to move correctly. The knee joint does not move like that. It's much more stable. So you have a mobile joint, the stable joint. Your hips are very mobile, moves all planes of motion, right? Then we've got what we talked about a minute ago, the lumbar spine, very stable. Then we have the thoracic spine, which is supposed to move. When a joint above or below, when a mobile joint like the ankle, the hip does not move correctly, the joint above it or below it can cause pain. So if the ankle doesn't move correctly, you can get some knee pain. If the hip is not moving correctly, you can get some knee pain or low back pain. So we want to be stretching the hips a little bit, and that's why we're going to do this figure 4 glute stretch. I like it on the back again because we're going to be able to support our back. So we're going to lie down on our backs. We're going to cross our right ankle over our left knee. We're going to take the right hand and thread the needle between the legs, and both hands grab the left thigh and just relax down for 5 breaths. I prefer the leg down here. We get a deeper stretch than the leg up in the air. So we want to just get a nice stretch in there. We're not going to try to push the hip out at all. We're just going to pull it in and relax. Now, I know for some people, they can't get their hand in there and grab that far. They don't have that much flexibility right now. So one way to do it is to do a seated figure 4. So we're just going to sit down, make sure our low back is nice and flat, and cross the leg over that opposite knee and start to walk that leg in. And then from there, you can just lift your toe. You see we're in that same position, that figure 4 position. We're going to get a stretch right in that glute. If you're really having trouble getting on there, you can just sit on a bench or a chair and cross your leg over and lift the toe. It's the same position, same way, multiple ways to do it. Those are some ways that we do it down here at Y.E.S Fitness. We always stretch that outer hip. A very important muscle group to stretch is the hip flexors. That's the front of the thigh, front of the hip, thigh, lower abdomen. Why is that important? Because sit on our butts all day, and we're here like this all day long, sitting on our butts, and these muscles in here get tight, these muscles out here get loose. So we need to make sure we're stretching the muscles in the front of the hip. We need to do that often. My head's going to get cut off here a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to grab a pad, I'm going to put my knee down, back toe is tucked under. The front foot is out here, about at 90 degrees. I'm going to make sure that this toe is tucked, so I'm digging into the ground, and that this butt cheek is tight. We don't want this to be wobbly. When this is wobbly, I can arch my back. When my butt cheek is tight, tighten it right up, poke it with your finger. You can't arch your back. So we're just going to exhale. You come forward, and we're going to hold that for 5 breaths again. Nice and easy, deep breaths. Each time you exhale, you might go a little bit deeper into the stretch. We're trying to feel the stretch right here in the front of that hip. Very, very important for the hip to be able to move correctly and properly. We need to stretch the hip flexors. And then finally, to help strengthen the anterior core, the front of the body, we're going to do a plank. Just a prone plank. Obviously, there's a lot of variations of this, a lot of ways to make it harder. There's more intense stretches out there, but I just wanted to give you some basic 10 things that we could do to start to strengthen the body and help prevent low back pain. So here's the prone plank. We talked about exhaling hard to get our core engaged. So we want to do that to make sure when we're doing this plank that it's done correctly. And at the back and the core muscles are engaged. So we're going to come down all the way down to our elbows. Our elbows will be just like in railroad tracks. We're going to come here. We're going to make sure that our back is not rounded up. Head stays in a neutral position. Come down, exhale hard. Make sure everything is engaged, everything is tight. And we're just going to hold that. You can work your way up from 10 seconds to 20 seconds to 30 seconds up to a minute. When you reach a minute, you need to make it more dynamic. You need to make it harder. Anything more than a minute is, quite honestly, is a waste of time. To plank for 5 minutes is not strengthening your core in a fashion in a way that's efficient enough to get the results you're looking for. So after 1 minute, make it a little bit harder. We prefer to not do planks on our knees. You could do a plank on your knee like this. That really shortens the lever, makes it easier. We prefer to do an inclined plank. So you might want to do it on a bench, in a tall plank position, up on you, like a push-up position. You can do it on a bar, you can do it on a countertop, and as you get stronger, you're going to take that incline down, lower and lower to the point where you're horizontal on the ground. So everybody should be able to do a plank. You just need to find a level of intensity you can do it at. So there's our 10 things right there. Let's review the things we're not going to do. We're not going to do sit-ups. We're not going to do curl-ups. We're not going to do twisting motions. All 3 of those things are not good for the lumbar spine. They are not good for the low back. We're not going to take time to do a child's pose or pull our knees in and pull one knee in because we already are stretched glutes. It's not going to help prevent anything. It's only going to feel good for that moment, maybe a minute or so afterwards, but it does not help prevent anything. What we are going to do is, number 1, double like hip bridge. Number 2, some pelvic tilts. Side plank, 3. Bird dogs, 4. A tabletop leg press, 5. Dead bug, 6. Supine hamstring stretch or lying on our back hamstring stretch. We're going to lie on our back and do a figure 4 stretch. We're going to do a half kneeling hip flexor stretch and some planks, a prone plank, those 10 things. If you do those 10 things diligently 3 or 4 times a week, don't take a lot of time, just take care of them. Make sure we're not doing it as we first get out of bed in the morning because that's not good for the spine. This will help prevent low back pain and stiffness over time. Thanks for watching. Look for more insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better next Tuesday at 3:30. If you have any questions, concerns, problems, certainly give me a call, Facebook message me, stop by. I look forward to talking to you. Thanks and have a great evening.